Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. Our topic today is a very humanistic one, and one that I am sure that many of us have had trials and challenges with. The mirror of mortality, finding purpose through life's trials. I'm Caroline HEWARD, and I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be representing Dr. Jacqueline as your host for USA Global TV and Radio's flagship show. I'm a TV presenter. I'm the resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio. An extremely warm welcome to our loyal viewers and all our viewers and loyal friends on E360 TV, as well as on our normal social media platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. I am joined today by an extremely special guest. At the last minute, Dr. Jacqueline has made herself available. She is the founder and the president and the chief listening officer and executive producer of USA Global TV and Radio. She has very recently been awarded the Silver Creator Award for having over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Woohoo! That is quite an accomplishment. And I feel very privileged that I've been part of the team with her in this last just under 4 years I've been with her. So it's absolutely wonderful to be in celebration of her award. She is an Amazon best-selling author, and she is a certified holistic life, career and executive coach. She is also a certified yoga instructor. She is the listening mentor. She is the Crohn's and Colitis board member. She has visionary leadership, and she has just launched her latest book, which I'm sure she'll be telling you more about when I bring her on. She has created a platform that is worldwide and given exposure and integration for business profiles worldwide. We are truly a global team. Let's welcome our star of the show and our special guest, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck.
Hi, Caroline. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I wanted to do that, and it's important for me to make sure that you have that hiatus. Please tell our viewers about your latest book that you've launched.
Thank you so much for asking, Caroline. The latest book is called Broadcasting Brilliance, The Evolution of USA Global TV and Radio. And let's bring up a picture of the book. And the book became an Amazon #1 new release. I personally spent 15 hours working on book marketing last weekend, and at 3:39 a.m. it became an Amazon top new release, and by 9 a.m. it was an Amazon #1 new release in notifications for both the paperback and the ebook. And Caroline is featured in this book, as are our team members who are currently with us, and even some who started with us but have moved on. It's really about providing awareness about what we're doing and where we're going. So that is the book. You can get it over on Amazon. Soon it'll be available in fine bookstores.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. How amazing is that? And I've been a little bit out of the circuit for the last couple of weeks, so it's wonderful to hear that you've had all these exciting things happen. And I'm looking forward to purchasing a copy of the book very shortly. Well, Dr. Jacqueline, please do introduce yourself, even though I've given you an introduction. Please do tell our viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you have the impetus and the vision around USA Global TV and Radio. What is it that's so special, and what is it that made you have this as your baby and drive it into where it is now? It's amazing.
Thank you, Caroline. Well, adversity is what actually was the catalyst. My mother was diagnosed with dementia, and I decided to move in with her. And at the time, I had a radio show, and I also had a television show in person. It was called Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline, The Drive, live at 5. And so I needed to be doing something where I was in the house. And I saw what somebody else was doing on Facebook and YouTube. So I contacted them on social media, and then I hired a producer, and then I learned how to do broadcast engineering, and I learned how to do TV production. I dabbled in search engineering, graphic artist work, you name it. If it's out there, I'm looking into it so I can see how I can take our platform to another level. So we now have just about 60 shows, 60 TV shows. We are global. And what really keeps me going is the incredible education that's being shared here. Caroline, you know, you have built and are building a legacy, and that's what this is all about, world-class education. I don't say that lightly. And finally, I'm going over to Europe. I'm doing a little European tour, going to London, Paris, Milan, Venice, and then back to London in June. And I'm meeting with people in the media business so that we can take this platform to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with programs in different languages. So that's where we are. That's where we're going.
Wow. Woohoo. So much has happened in this last 4 years. It's absolutely incredible. And it feels such a privilege to be part of your team and watch that change and be part of that growth and that change. So let's getting into the topic. Oh yeah, before we do that, I need to introduce myself, don't I?
Yes.
I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help people bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology, and identify the root cause of what caused that repeating pattern, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral. And many people say I'm not stressed, but then in the next breath, they're saying that they don't sleep very well, or they've got a physical ache and pain somewhere, or they're complaining about a relationship or an intimate partner, or they're complaining about a member of family, or they're complaining about something that is their focus. And whatever it is, that is how the stress is manifesting. And I help the client identify what's caused the original pattern. So identifying the original pattern from their blueprint. And usually it's going back to childhood without them having to relive all the memories. I also help people from an educational perspective. I'm a mentor, and I do lunch and learn talks at corporate organizations and organizations both online and face-to-face. You can reach me and find me on all the social media platforms. My favorite ones are LinkedIn and Facebook. And if you are subscribed to USA Global TV and Radio, you will find all my talks on USA Global TV and Radio. Okay, so let's now dive into the topic. This is quite a personal one to me, and an interesting one in terms of this happens for everyone. Our topic is the mirror of mortality, finding purpose through life's trials. We live in our lives are much caught up in society and our daily routines and careers and goals and expectations that we place on ourselves and others place on us, as well as our responsibilities. And often we forget what really truly matters. And suddenly we're faced with illness, loss, or the reality of mortality that shifts the lens of how we focus in our lives. So tonight we're going to be looking at how we move and pause from the noise and how it reflects in our lives when we are confronted with the fragility of our life mortality or expectancy of a terminal illness. So what do we let go of, and what becomes sacred? Through personal insights and through conversation, we will explore fully what comes up when we are in a crisis and how we cope with the crisis. So let's look at how and what we do when we are faced with illness or a terminal diagnosis. What shifts in the perspective, and what most importantly moves our perspective dramatically. Dr. Jacqueline, what are your thoughts on this as you have had some personal losses within your life? What are your thoughts in terms of when you've been faced with these challenges, what becomes important in your life?
Thank you, Caroline. Yes, yesterday was Mother's Day here in the States. And it was a tough one for me because my mother was my best friend and she passed away, and I'm actually in the house where she died. And a lot of things were coming up. And I thought back to the process of being her caregiver. And then the last month when she was in hospice, and you kind of look back and think, wow, I wonder if I could have done this differently, or if I could have done that differently. But in the end, it doesn't really make a difference. So I think kind of through this process, which I'm still going through, what I've learned is you obviously focus on the positive times, the good times, but you need to also think about the tough times, the times that are not easy, that are not pretty, that are not, you wouldn't necessarily ever want to go through them again. But it's all part of what your loved one is going through. So I think what you start to realize is that a lot of the little things in life are not important. And a lot of the things that sometimes consume us with those tape recorders going round and round in our head, they don't really mean anything, because the gift is we're all still here. And every day that we're here is an opportunity to make a difference. But if we get pulled down into the ugliness, I guess I would say, of what a terminal illness looks like, for example, then it's not going to serve the other person or serve ourselves. So I think the first thing I would say is letting go of things that don't matter and just focusing on what does matter and making every minute of every day special.
I'm so in agreement with you. And as you were saying that, I was nodding in the background. Yes, I believe that in saying what is important, it changes. And it's not about how well you did within a job, that from an employer perspective. It's not about how much cake you ate and how much champagne that you drank. I actually feel it's more about creating memories and creating those times that are precious. And sometimes it's the very simple things, just by being with the person rather than needing to have the big showy, dramatic, expensive meals and dining out. What are your thoughts on that, in terms of it almost becomes smaller in terms of the person going through that terminal diagnosis rather than being the very big things?
Yes, I would agree with you on that as well. I know with my mom, and she ultimately passed away from cancer, which was undetected. But with the dementia, the things she was able to do was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because people with dementia, at least in my experience, they can't be around loud noise. They can't be around a lot of people talking. So it were these simple conversations across a table. And something else that I think is really interesting, Caroline, is someone had suggested to me that my mother start doing paint by numbers. And she was completely adamant that she was not doing it. She said, I'm not a child, I'm not doing it. Well, my sister went ahead and bought some and had them sent to her. And I would just watch my mom literally 8 hours. She didn't move. She didn't go to the restaurant, nothing, just paint by numbers. And when she passed away, we had probably 100 something by numbers. And so now I have, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 5 of them matted and framed and hanging in my apartment back home. So it was those little things, like just seeing her do it. And I asked her to sign some of them. I don't know what came upon me. I just like, Mom, would you sign some of this work? And she did. And like, that's such a little thing, but I could cry thinking about it.
Thank you for your honesty, your integrity, and your transparency, because you've only just celebrated Mother's Day, and it's been, is that the first year?
She died in August of 23.
Yeah, so this is the first Mother's Day, is it? The second Mother's Day.
Second.
Yeah, and I can only empathize with how that must be, that, you know, when we get to the anniversaries of the birthdays, the big celebrations like bank holidays and things that we do together as a family, it brings up those thoughts and those feelings. And Paint by Numbers is just such a, as you say, a very simple thing, and yet very powerful in terms of the memory and the emotion that it's brought up for you, Dr. Jacqueline. So thank you very much for your transparency and your vulnerability. So why do you think when we walk, that often we walk in a place of oblivion, and then we move into a place of reflection when we start to look at what truly matters when somebody is going through this terminal diagnosis? It's almost like it stops us in our tracks, and it makes us start to consider what really is important. Why is it that we don't do that before something that critical happens? What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacqueline?
I think that's a great question and a good place to reflect, because I think when we're younger, at least, you know, I'm 62. When I was in my 20s and my 30s, I never really thought about my parents dying. I never thought about me dying. You just think about having a good time, about making money, and about having fun. And as you get older, or sometimes it's not even as you get older, because we know people who have died and they were very young, and you don't expect it. And that's a whole different experience. But I think when there is a terminal diagnosis, it's, first of all, it just shocks you. You weren't expecting it. And then you don't have anything you can do about it. You're literally powerless. You can't cure the person. You can be a good caregiver and a good daughter, a good partner, but you want to fix it. You want to make it go away, and you can't do it. And you want to, you give the person a hug, or it's a virtual hug, knowing that that's it. You can give a hug. You can be a great listener. You can run errands, or a bunch of things you can do, but you can't stop what's going to happen if that's what's meant to happen. So I think it's that helplessness. And then I think there's that acceptance. I think that, what are there, 5 stages of grief or 7 stages? And I think they happen even before the person dies. You're going through them, because I think you're in complete denial, and you don't really want to accept it. Then you're kind of like, well, why him? Why her? Why me? Why them? And then there's anger. I don't know what the stages are, but I think you go through all of them. So I think it's that feeling of not being able to change the outcome. And then also there's that uncomfortableness when you see someone you love and they're going through something and they're in pain, or they're visibly sick, and you haven't seen them that way. You looked at them in a certain way, and now they need you to take care of them. And I think that is a big switch, that when you're younger, you don't actually think about it, or maybe you have some kind of plan, but until you get there, you can't really plan for how you feel about being there.
I'm so as again, I'm nodding, you know, in agreement that we never think about it until we're faced with it. And I think that that's a critical perspective that you shared, Dr. Jacqueline, that when my father passed away in 2000, and he was admitted into hospital, and it was for respite. I'd been with him with every single hospital appointment, and traveling back. I was working in corporate at the time, and I was traveling back from London to Birmingham. And the one weekend that I didn't go, and the hospital said, you know, he's in good hands, that was the weekend that he did pass away. And I just didn't believe it. So yes, very much I agree with you that disbelief that it's happened, and then anger is very much part of the bereavement and the grieving process. It's like a living grieving, but the person, when they have the terminal diagnosis, is still there. Well, Dr. Jacqueline, thank you very much for your transparency, your absolute vulnerability, and it heartens me to now have a short break for us to just compose ourselves while we go over to a short commercial break. Please come back and join us for part 2 of A Woman's Prerogative and our further exploration into this human, interesting topic of what happens and how we cope with terminal illness and death. Over to our commercial break. I'll see you in 2 minutes.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers, discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. The show today is A Woman's Prerogative, and we are exploring the topic of the mirror of mortality, finding purpose through life's trials. And we are joined with our very special guest, President and creator of USA Global TV and Radio, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck.
Hi, Caroline. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Dr. Jacqueline. Wow, we have been exploring some very interesting and vulnerable topics, and I thank you very much for your openness in exploring this topic, because I know that you've just celebrated Mothering Sunday, and I'm sure that it's still at top of mind in terms of feelings and emotions. So we have been exploring what happens when we are faced with not only our mortality, but families' mortality, parents, children, siblings, and other people that are close to us. And you mentioned something before we took our break about the fact that we are surprised when somebody passes that's very young, and we don't consider thinking about it when we're young. We're focused on career, our aspirations, having fun. I was always focused on, sort of my dancing and getting drunk with friends and, all the parties. And the fact that career was very important to me. But then when it comes to a time when a parent dies, it changes significantly how we show up almost. And when my father passed away, I literally went from corporate to becoming a therapist. I didn't decide that. It just happened in terms of I was looking and exploring how to overcome what had happened to me, because I'd gone into a depression, didn't even realize I was in it. And this will be many people's experience unless they've been in some kind of therapy. And so my therapy personal journey became my therapy training journey, became my new career. And I've been doing that now for 25 years. And when it does happen, we're always surprised. What do you think that is that makes us surprised about the fact that somebody's passed? Because it's the most natural thing in the world. You know, they say death, taxes, and there's something else, there's another one, are definite, you know, in terms of the fact that they happen. So why is it that we are always surprised or shocked or in disbelief when it happens to us personally? What do you think that is?
I think because it's so final. I think because it's irreversible. There's no changing. And I remember on my mother's journey that last month that things kept getting worse and worse in terms of her health. And she wasn't really aware of everything because she had the dementia. But in thinking about it then, I was thinking she is really suffering. I want this suffering to end. You don't like to see someone you care about suffering and in pain. And then when it does end, then you realize, wow, they're not here anymore. Like, they're not suffering, but they're not here anymore. And I think it's something you can't imagine until it happens. And I think, like with you, you lost your dad. I lost my dad. I know you lost your brother, but there is always other family members, and it doesn't replace them, but there are other family members. And so with me, my mother was my best friend. And we did so many things together. She was a huge supporter of this television network, and she'd watch shows with me and critique them. And then when she was gone, before she had passed away, she used to always say that she and I were a couple. And I would say, Mom, this was silly that we're a couple. But anyway, there's no replacing her. So there's like a huge void because I don't have that partner anymore.
Yes, I feel that. And certainly when my brother passed away, it was like sort of having a parent pass away was one side of it, you know, because my dad had his age, and even though it was a shock, it was almost a bit more acceptable. But when my brother passed away, he was younger than me, that was really tough. It made me question my own mortality and what the hell I was doing with my life and where I was going with it. And it really brought home to me about our mortality, you know, and he passed away the day before he was 50. And that again was a big milestone for him. So, you know, we were preparing to have a gathering, a party, and that was difficult in itself. And I think it was just the shock of the youngest sibling passing away that it made everyone in the family really shook up, in terms of there were 4 of us and now there are only 3. And we never talked about it. This was the big thing, that we never talked about mortality, funerals in terms of siblings. And I feel that that's something that even when my mum was talking about hers and planning hers, I said, oh, don't be so morbid, Mum. But, you know, sort of, we never talked about my brother's funeral. And so we didn't know what his wishes were. And there was nothing prepared, talked about, or planned. And it's made me realize that I have to consider my own wishes and desires in terms of my end of life. What are your thoughts about that, Dr. Jacqueline, in terms of your sibling? And have you had those difficult conversations?
Thank you, Caroline, for being so transparent. And I know we've talked about the passing of your brother on the Listening Mentor and some other shows, but it never gets easier. I mean, it's still always there. It's a void. So I have one sibling. I have a sister, and I have a will, and she knows exactly what my wishes are. So it's interesting because before my mother got sick, I don't think I would even talk about a will, but then you get to see someone sick and you say to yourself, you know, she was 84 when she passed away. And it used to be like when you're younger, oh, he lived into his 80s. And all of a sudden you go, wow, I'm 62 and that's not too far away from here. So if she died at 84 and my dad died at 72, and I'm 62. So I start saying to myself, well, how much longer am I really going to be here? So what I actually started doing was, when I have these thoughts in my mind, or if I'm having a conversation with my sister, is I take the emotion out of it. And I say to myself, okay, let's say you live, let's go 25 years. Let's be crazy and go 25 years. How do I want to spend the next 25 years? And what do the finances look like for the next 25 years? And what about the health conditions that I have? Like, how do I want to spend these 25 years? And I think it really puts you at a completely different place than the place that you could have been when you were younger, meaning you really appreciate time, because all we have is time. So now you don't know exactly how long you're going to live, but if you, let's say for me, if I pick 25 years, I'm going to do my best to make it 25 years. And so I'm going to plan out, what do I want to do in those 25 years and what don't I want to do? And Caroline, I'd love to have you talk about this. I know when I was in corporate, you worked however many hours and then you traveled, you had the entertainment. And now with my own businesses, I have 2 businesses. I write my own schedule and I make my own choices. And the fact that I'm alone and I don't have my mother is really kind of the catalyst for, no, I'm not doing that because I don't want to do it. I have this amount of time left and I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I'm focusing on creating a legacy and also volunteering to help young women and girls. How about you, Caroline? Now that you're younger than I am, but how do you look at it from a perspective of how long you're going to live? Not, you don't have the exact time, but how are you mentally reframing your story?
Well, I have to be honest, and it's a great question, Dr. Jacqueline. I'm not considering or thinking about dying. I'm going to live till I'm 125. I think I have too much to do, but it's not in the same place from where I was in corporate. It's just that I feel that I will have so much to give and so much legacy to leave and so many people to help that that I can't see it. And so that's why I show up here every week and do my shows and share perspective and educational perspectives, because I'm probably one of many, many millions, billions of people that won't think about it. And I am considering and thinking about it for my siblings and also for my own family, because I like to put others first. But when I do think about it, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm already choosing what makes me feel okay. And if I have a sick day, an off day, which is not often, I will take the space to recover. I will take the space that my body needs. And that's something that I have learned, that my mum used to say when I was very young, you can work 40, 60, 80 hours a week and you're still a number and you'll be nothing more. And when you're dead and gone, they will not remember you. They will just bring in the next workhorse. And it's something that she used to say to me all of the time when I would clock up very long hours. And I feel at this point in life, she was absolutely right, because some of the great things that I did in corporate, they're long forgotten because I'm not there anymore. And we had a saying, you're only as good as today's news, and your old news and stale bread, stale news, if it's yesterday's news. And so you're only as good as your latest results. And that made me keep pushing on. Once I'd got something, an accolade, that I would go on to get the next accolade, because I was always thinking that wasn't enough. Now I'm doing it for me, I'm doing it for my family, and I'm doing it for others in terms of leaving a legacy. And the more that I share, the more that I give, the more that it comes back to me. So thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, for allowing me to share my perspective in terms of life, death. And as such, I haven't got a will sorted out, and it is on my mind to sort. And I will be doing that in relation to my family and mirroring their wills to make sure, because I now own my own property, to make sure that we're all in alignment. So that's something that's, I would say, is work in progress. So Dr. Jacqueline, we are almost at the end of our show. Can you believe it? And there is so much to this topic. There is so much depth to how we approach mortality, our own, our siblings, our families, and people that we're really close to. And something that you mentioned about people that pass away when they're much younger, and that's the surprise. And there are many people now passing away with all sorts of diseases and heart conditions. And it even more makes me feel absolutely in celebration that I'm still here. and you're still here. And I just think that, maybe it's because we're here with a purpose, and we're here to give and leave that wonderful legacy. So if this was your last day of your life, Dr. Jacqueline, and you look back, what would you share? What would you be thinking if this was the last day of your life and you were on your deathbed? What would you remember? What would you want people to remember you by, and what would be your thoughts?
Woo, Caroline, that is a question. Oh my gosh. I think I would want people to remember that I was a really good daughter, number one. And I think also that we're doing something here that will live on long after we're not here. And I think that's the most important thing. And I've thought to myself many times that I need to start documenting all the processes of what it takes to run this platform, and then have that in a safe place and be able to turn that over to my sister to hire the appropriate people to have us continue on. We have producers and marketers, but in terms of leading the platform. But I think I'd like to be remembered for creating a legacy of world-class education with the best people in the world, like yourself, and that I was a great daughter.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. That's really quite just incredibly inspiring and incredibly uplifting. For me, if this was my last day of my life, I would look back and say, you did it, girl. You did it your way, and you did it without and with the bells on as you chose. And that's something that I feel very passionate about, that I do things my way. It might not be the way that everybody else does it, but I'm a bit of a maverick in terms of doing it my way and achieving things in a different way. And being here on the platform is part of that leaving some of me behind. My mum has always said to me, Caroline, when they made you, they broke the mold. And so I'd like to think that when I'm gone and I'm with the stars and the angels and with friends and relatives and people that have been very special and part of my life, I want to be remembered for what I left behind and how I made transparency, and how I moved people from pain to a place of peace. That's how I want to be remembered. And obviously as the family and the daughter and the sister, and also the auntie and the great auntie as well, because I have great nephews and great nephews and nieces. And so yes, family is very, very important to me. But what I want to do is leave a legacy so that everyone becomes tainted or touched with a little bit of Caroline magic done my way. We are now at the end of our show. So before we go, please, Dr. Jacqueline, please share with our viewers some of your last thoughts and a little bit about how to contact you and what's really happening in terms of why people should reach out to you.
Thank you, Caroline. For those who don't know, I'm also producing the show. So I don't typically put up my own banner, but I will put it up today. So what I'd like to just leave you with is, remember, if you want to be alone, it's okay to be alone. If you want to have people surrounding you when you're going through someone who has a terminal illness, that's okay too. Whatever the decisions are, they're yours to make. And so the way that I handled my mother's death might be very different than the way you might handle something. But I have no regrets in terms of how I was there, when I was there, the fact that I gave everything up so that I could be there for her and was able to start this platform at the same time because I had to be in the house. And if you're interested in contacting me, I would love to hear from you. Are you a podcaster or a TV show host who is outside of the United States and you are doing your show in another language? We would love to chat with you as we grow the platform out to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with native speaking TV show hosts who are in different parts of the world. The best way to get in touch with me is through our websites, usaglobaltv.com or drjacqueline.com, or you can email me directly at drjacqueline@usaglobaltv.com. And then finally, we would love to have you subscribe to our channel. You can see the QR code there on the right-hand side for our people who are watching this on video. If you can take your smart device and just hold it up there, and then you will be taken to USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube, and you can join our community and be aware of all of the programming that we're doing. Caroline, thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jacqueline. I feel that this has been a really powerful share and a real humanistic show in terms of tackling what comes up when the mirror of mortality, finding purpose through life's challenges and trials, begins. Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. This has been a real rare pleasure to share your journey and to share with our viewers what we can do in terms of perspective, what we can share, and what we can do in terms of how we handle life's trials, especially when somebody close to us is in a terminal illness or passes away. It's been an absolute pleasure to share tonight's show with you. And really, I feel that what we should remember is our greatest gift that we can give to our family members or our loved ones is ourselves. Our greatest gift that we can give is our time and our love. And sometimes it might be as simple as a hug or making that effort to make them feel special, because when they're gone, we can't make it up. So give them the gift of you and your time, because you really matter. Your credentials, your goals, everything else becomes insignificant. The person is in your life and they are there for a reason. Give them your love, give them your time, and give them the gift of your compassion. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. You can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk or call if you're international +44 if you're local 07523 120 189. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you're here on the live or the replay. Thank you very much. If you are new to our channel, we do have more upbeat shows, but I felt that this was an important topic to look at tonight. And thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you at the same time. That's 7 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday evening. Thank you very much again, Dr. Jacqueline. It's been an absolutely amazing, inspiring, and deeply moving show, and I really thank you for your transparency and your vulnerability. Thank you very much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time. Bye-bye for now.
5 little known secrets for dementia caregivers with Tracy Cram-Perkins.
Hi there, I am Tracy Cram-Perkins, the host of the Dementia Home Care Show here on USA Global TV and Radio. I am also the author of the book of the same name, and you'll see this QR code. This is for an extended version of the same talk. So if you want to see the full hour-long version, feel free to scan the code and go to that website. Stick with me. We'll talk about 5 little known secrets to make it a little easier to do dementia caregiving. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is a healthy aged brain, age 55 and above. The one you're seeing on the right is an Alzheimer's disease brain. It is in moderate disease. It is shrinking. It has holes in it. The memories that were in those holes no longer exist. When you're learning something, let's say in kindergarten, you learn how to tie your shoelace. Well, then by the time you're in 2nd grade, your brain remembers that information from tying the shoelace and applies it so you can learn more quickly how to tie more complex knots. So the brain is hardwired to do this for us. So it helps us learn faster so it doesn't take us long to acquire knowledge. The brain is looking for the information and they pick the closest to wherever that hole is. Let's look at some tips that we can use to help do that.
These are 5 simple tools you can use as a dementia caregiver to help your loved one. The whiteboard is a useful tool in recording the day's activities and the answers to repetitive questions. The calendar clock is a very useful tool to orient your loved one on the day, the date, and the time, and remind them of upcoming appointments. The communication cards are a great tool to bridge the gap when they can no longer tell you what's wrong. And then there's the pill minder, for when your loved one is still able to take pills but needs prompting. The final tool I want to share with you is the memory book. It tells your loved one's story. It's a great tool for distraction, redirection, also as a conversation starter, and telling you where they are in their story so you know how to answer their questions.
Music is probably the most powerful tool in your toolbox after laughter. Music is a way to maintain connection. It sticks with your brain longer than any other thing, including reading. When you're having an issue with somebody, you can play their favorite music if you move them to another room, something that makes them happy, or you can start singing songs together from their childhood. These are some of my favorite books for caregivers. My show airs on the third Tuesday of every month, and you can view past episodes on YouTube. Thank you, everyone.
This program has been brought to you in part by Tracy Cram Perkins. Connect with her and order her book at tracycramperkins.com. For more information about Alzheimer's disease, support resources, and how you can help, contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or visit their website at www.alz.org. They offer 24/7 helpline support and a wealth of information to assist you and your loved ones. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Steve Klein Art at steveklein.art.
My name is Steve Klein, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multidimensional world, an out-of-body experience, and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist with an eternal, passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multidimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced. And now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
To learn more, email roccogoodwine@gmail.com. For VIP pricing, mention USA Global TV and Radio.
What if one simple skill could change the way you connect with the world? What if listening could open doors to deeper relationships, stronger businesses, and a better you? Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, brings you USA Global TV and Radio, a space where voices are heard, ideas are shared, and global communities thrive. Through the Elevated Listeners courses and books, you'll master the power of listening, set boundaries with confidence, and transform conversations into opportunities. Join us. Listen, learn, elevate. Whether you're a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone seeking stronger connections, your journey starts today. Subscribe, learn, and transform today.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.